This is just too funny. CBS News asks, as Biden exits, how will he be remembered for his handling of the U.S. economy? Really? Let me try to answer that, because we just got multiple data points that show some very scary economic news that will hit American banks and consumers very hard in the next few months. Biden isn't just leaving office. He's handing Trump an economic time bomb, and the timer is already ticking. And this isn't hyperbole. It's reality. We're just months away from seeing this explode. Now, if you have money in a bank, like a local bank, you're going to want to pay attention to this. But before we get to the economy, we've been asking for a year or more on this show, who's actually running the White House? Who's in charge? Well, now we know. The CIA is. Speaker Mike Johnson just admitted this weekend a bombshell about his meetings with Biden.
In some ways, I actually kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden. I mean, he's in the twilight years of his life. He is not, obviously has not been in charge for some time. They finally relented. They invited me to the White House. I show up and I realize it's actually an ambush, because it's not just me and the president. It's also Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem, the CIA director, everybody. And then, so I walked in the Oval and, I know what this is. The president reaches over just like right next to the fireplace in the Oval, and he grabs my arm and he says, "The speaker and I just need a couple minutes together. Would y'all just leave us alone?" And I looked up on the faces of some of the staff standing around the wall, and they're like, "Oh, no, he did it." So he called it. He's the commander-in-chief. So everybody leaves, and he and I are standing awkwardly in the middle of the Oval Office. And I said, "Mr. President, thanks for the moments. This is very important. I got some big national security things I need to talk to you about that I've heard, and I think you know, and what do we do? But first, real quickly, Mr. President, can I ask you a question? Sir, why did you pause LNG exports to Europe? Like, I don't understand, And he looks at me, stunned with this, and he said, I didn't do that. And I said, "Mr. President, yes, you did. It was an executive order, 3 weeks ago." And he goes, "No, I didn't do that." And he's arguing with me. I said, "Mr. President, respectfully, could I go out here and ask your secretary to print it out? We'll read it together. You definitely did that." And he goes, "Oh, you talk about natural gas." "Yes, sir." He said, No, you misunderstand." He said, "What I did is I signed this thing we're gonna conduct a study on the effects of LNG." I said, "No, you're not, sir. You paused it." He was not lying to me. He genuinely did not know what he had signed.
So yeah, the deep state, the CIA, putting pieces of paper in front of the president, telling him it's one thing, he's signing, and he's actually signing something totally different. Running America into the ground. So back to the economy that they've ruined. Let's start with inflation, okay? Because this is where the liberal media is running cover like you wouldn't believe. Here's the liberal magazine, The Economist, this weekend. Joe Biden wound up serving up Donald Trump, meaning Biden paved the way for an economic boom. Here's another one from Time magazine. Don't give Trump credit for the success of the Biden economy. Okay, right. Don't worry. But I'm sure you'll blame him when this economic bomb goes off in the next 8 to 10 months. So on inflation, every headline out there wants to convince you that inflation is cooling or easing. But what does that actually mean for your wallet? It means prices are still going up, just at a slightly slower pace. And they're acting like that's some kind of a win. Economist Peter Schiff nailed it when he said this: inflation is not going down, it's going up.
I don't know how they could be spinning this bad inflation report as good news. Yes, the core number was 1/10 cooler than expected, but the headline number was 1/10 hotter. Inflation is headed much, much higher. The markets have totally got this wrong.
Meanwhile, grocery prices are still climbing. Rent is going through the roof. Energy bills are crushing American families. Does that sound like inflation is cooling to you? Even the Financial Times admitted that wages aren't keeping pace with the cost of living. But the mainstream media buries that part of the story. But some people get it, like Trump's Treasury nominee, Scott Benson. He says Biden intentionally screwed up the U.S. economy and the deficit.
Because I will tell you, I am very concerned about what is happening right now. We have never had a budget deficit like this. We are at 7% of GDP in terms of the deficit. We've never had this when it's not a recession, not a war. And what do we have to show for it? They have created 18,000 manufacturing jobs. Last year, the economy only created 250,000 private sector jobs. This is a takeover of the government, of the private sector.
He's absolutely right. And of course, we can't do anything with this mounting national debt. The media won't talk about it, the national debt. Under Biden, we've blown past 100% of GDP, the highest level since World War II. That means we're spending more than we're making as a nation. And the interest payments alone are becoming unsustainable. But we might finally get a Treasury Secretary that isn't dumb as a bag of rocks and understands that our government will collapse unless we stop spending. During his confirmation hearing, Trump's Treasury pick warned Congress this week about all of this spending.
We do not have a revenue problem in the United States of America. We have a spending problem.
But of course, instead of listening to experts, what do we get? More spending bills, more pork barrel projects, more empty promises. This isn't just irresponsible, it's downright dangerous for future generations. Benson also dropped an incredible idea, building a sovereign wealth fund where America invests in itself. Just so you understand how big a deal this is. This is exactly, by the way, what Norway does. You know, those Scandinavian countries that liberals love to talk about?
You can hear the Republican attack ad right now. He wants America to look more like Scandinavia.
That's right. That's right.
Norway uses its incredible wealth they get from oil production. They invest that money in American companies like Apple and Microsoft as part of a sovereign wealth fund. So Scandinavia invests in America, sees amazing growth as a result. And we don't even do that. We print money and then we send it to Ukraine. How backwards? Next, let's talk about the biggest bombshell of all, the bank failures that are looming, okay? The Biden bombshell of all bombshells is about to hit. I spoke with trends forecaster Gerald Celente this week, and what he revealed should have every America concerned. Celente told me that this year we could see hundreds of banks fail in the United States. Why? Because of the empty office spaces littering major cities across the country. Over 40% vacancy rates for office buildings in American cities. Turns out that when Biden handed out free checks to everyone, told people to stay home, it had devastating consequences for our economy. Commercial real estate is on life support right now. Celente described this as a ticking time bomb for the banking industry. Listen.
Your office vacancy rate, depending on the numbers you're looking at in the largest cities, are around 20% vacant. Now these leases are up. People aren't going to be taking back the spaces that they had. Going back, there's going to be an office building bust that nobody's talking about. And it's going to bring down the banks. You're looking at over $2 trillion worth of commercial real estate loans coming due. There's going to be defaults on them. Let's go back to 2023. Remember Signature Bank, First Republic, and Silicon Conman Valley Bank went bust? Look what happened to the equity markets and gold prices. Equity markets were collapsing, gold prices. That was 3 banks. You got hundreds of banks that are going to see defaults on these loans. No one is talking about it.
So this time bomb will detonate just as Trump's first year unfolds. Where's the Mockingbird mainstream media on this story? Silent as usual, of course. They're too busy praising Biden for his strong economic legacy to tell you about the banks that are teetering on the edge of collapse as a result of this empty office space problem. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is a reality backed by hard numbers. This isn't fantasy. I'll ask you guys to comment below. How many people do you know have left an office building and haven't gone back to work? They're working from home now. We've got to protect our families and make sure that we're being strategic, especially if most of our savings are sitting right now in these U.S. dollars inside of U.S. banks. We need to be practical and we need to be prepared. So we'll be watching the economy very closely with the incoming administration. Do they make it worse? We will hold them accountable. Or can they fix this disaster? Time will tell. So that's the news update part of today's video. Now I want to tell you about our sponsor for today's video, Cybin Incorporated. More on that in a second. You need to pay attention to that, okay? So that's it, right, guys? This week, the United States of America now has a new president. It's going to be incredible. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is ready to become the new Secretary of Health and Human Services. Making America healthy again will be a top presidential priority. We know RFK is overwhelmingly positive about the potential of psychedelic treatments in the United States. Between Elon Musk's and Ramaswamy's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, and RFK's mission to help America get healthy again, I'm very, very bullish personally on psychedelics. Now, existing products are far inferior to the one that is in development stage right now from Cybin Incorporated, as far as I can tell. So here is their ticker on your screen. They're on the New York Stock Exchange. Now, for months, I've looked in depth into Cybin. This is my first full-fledged Trump-era stock market bet. And what's amazing is the stock has been punished in the past few months under Biden. It's so stinking cheap right now. In my view, it's down 42% in the past year and trading near its all-time low. While the most supportive administration ever to this industry was just sworn into office this week. You see where I'm going with this? So talk about an ideal scenario right now. Now, I want to show you the valuation proposition of Cybin. Here they are again on the New York Stock Exchange. Their market cap is $195 million, which is lower today than the total sum of the company has raised from major institutional players. Of the $250 million that they raised, Cybin has more than $150 million sitting in cash in the treasury. So you back out those numbers, the enterprise value is around $45 million. And the company's breakthrough drug, which is passing regulatory hurdles with flying colors right now, it's unbelievable. The company has passed several key milestones, yet the market is presently valuing the enterprise value of this company at only $45 million. Again, the company's incredible achievements seem to be ignored since the stock is down 42% in the past year, trading near all-time lows, while the fundamentals and the tailwinds are as strong as ever right now. So now that Trump takes office as the 47th president, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. becomes Secretary of Health and Human Services. The U.S. enters a new era of innovation in healthcare policy. RFK Jr.'s vocal advocacy for the legalization and integration of psychedelic therapies into mainstream medicine positions Cybin as the potential ultimate stock to capitalize on this transformative shift. Now let me give you some technical info on their breakthrough therapy called CYB003. Okay, I know it's a little technical, but you should pay attention just so you understand. Cybin stands at the forefront of the psychedelic revolution, armed with FDA breakthrough therapy designation for CYB003. It's a flagship compound which targets major depressive disorder, MDD, with a 100% response rate and 72% remission rate demonstrated in phase 2 trials. CYB003 redefines mental health treatment, delivering rapid, durable results where traditional pharmaceuticals have totally failed. And we're talking, think about the benefits for veterans in this company. Joe Rogan recently, when he was on with J.D. Vance, spoke at length about all of our veterans who suffer post-traumatic stress disorder and the benefits of psychedelics, right? And now you have RFK Jr. is expected to push for deregulation, along with Trump's pro-business policies. This creates fertile ground for Cybin to thrive. So if you're an investor, you need to do your own due diligence on Cybin, okay? You need to do your own homework. I'm not going to do it all for you. They're uniquely positioned to benefit from the RFK Trump healthcare revolution, standing as a leader in an industry that's poised to disrupt a $300 billion market. I've researched this topic for a long time now, and I'm not the only one. The richest man ever, Elon Musk, is on board with this as well. As recently as this July, Musk was posting on X trying to educate people about the need for innovative psychedelic treatments. Cybin is one of the most interesting drug development companies I've ever seen in my life. Again, do your own research on this company. Their website will be in the description of this video. You can dive deeply into this yourself, and we will see you next time, everyone.